This is getting out of hand. Kendrick Perkins had another microphone in front of his face where he went on to spew utter craziness about Bam Adebayo, the key player for this Miami Heat organization, and how he expects Bam to not be a part of this Heat team by the end of this up-and-coming regular season. We'll break down just the quote from Kendrick Perkins, as well as whether or not there's a real chance Bam Adebayo finds himself in another basketball jersey by the end of this regular season. We'll break down all of that on this episode of Heat Digest, but first, please do remember to scroll down and click the subscribe button if you're a part of the near 90% watching this video not currently subscribed to the channel. We do appreciate the love and support, so thank you guys, but now let's get to it and break down someone take his mic, and I am referring to Kendrick Perkins. It feels like whenever we come on here and we break down quotes from previous NBA players who are now speaking about the game, it feels like Kendrick Perkins always finds himself saying things that are a bit amazing, in the sense that it's crazy to think that an ex-NBA player is actually saying these things. And now he's overdone himself once again, going out there on the road tripping pod with Channing Frye, as well as Richard Jefferson and others, speaking specifically about this Miami Heat team and Bam Adebayo, one of, if not the key player down in Miami. Now, Bam last season did not play up to the level everyone was really hoping for. And yes, you can put an asterisk next to that season because of all of the drama that took place not only on the basketball court but behind closed doors amongst that organization with Jimmy Butler and all of the hectic situations that took place because of Jimmy Butler's trade and really the burning of the bridges leading up to that blockbuster trade back to Golden State, I should say. Now, Bam never played up to really the level anyone in the organization or any fan of part of this Heat Nation was hoping for. Year after year, since his rookie season out of the University of Kentucky, Bam Adebayo has progressively gotten better and better and better. Not only has he grown into his body and really become a real professional basketball player at a very high level, but also he's fitting in Miami. He's finding a way to be successful in a brand of basketball that he can rely on and be efficient at while also being effective. Now, seeing that happen year after year after year, not only offensively, but again defensively, if you look to the far right side of this graphic and you see 5 defensive player of the year, top 5 finishes for Bam Adebayo in the last 7 years. He has been a monster on both sides of the floor. But last season, there was a bit of regression in a season where the Miami Heat organization and the fan base specifically needed to see something substantial out of him. Not necessarily an MVP caliber season, but something along the lines of that 20 to 22 point per game season, while being a menace on the defensive end like we're accustomed to seeing, but also facilitating the basketball at a high level and rebounding more than just your part, because the rebounding for the Miami Heat last year was abysmal, and Bam Adebayo not being a walking, and this is going to sound dramatic, but a walking 22 and 15, it felt like Miami never had a chance. And yes, those are large expectations, but if you look at the seasons Bam has put together and the progression he has shown year after year, if Bam is going to take another step, that is going to be it's going to be along those lines, in the sense of those lower to mid 20 point per game scoring nights, as well as being 10 plus rebounds nightly. This is something the Heat Nation wanted to become accustomed to, and obviously that did not happen. Now, in Bam's tenure, Miami has made the playoffs a bunch, and they've found some great success, obviously. Now, have they won an NBA championship? No, they have not. Do they still have a chance to be a playoff team for, the 6th straight season, 7th straight season? Absolutely, especially in an Eastern Conference that is not up to the level of the West, while also maintaining a lot of good pieces and adding new pieces this past offseason that could really surprise Kendrick Perkins and others covering the game of basketball. Perkins would go on to say on this podcast that he expects Bam Adebayo to not only not be a part of this Miami Heat team by the end of this season, because he needs to find himself on a championship contender, so the great years of his career, his prime of his career, is being utilized at the highest level, but also saying that this Miami Heat roster is trash. I think the actual quote was stinks, but the idea is the same. Trashing this Miami Heat roster as currently constructed, which is amazing to hear. I can't believe that he said it. He seemed like he meant every word of it. There was no hesitation. There was no jumping or fundling of his words. He said what he said, and it felt like he meant it, excuse me. And I don't understand how he comes to this conclusion. Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Norman Powell, Andrew Wiggins is a great collection of talent that you can spread not only in the first unit, but as well as the second with a complementary amount of young players like Jaquez, Larson, Kalel Ware, who is finding his strides playing alongside someone like Bam Adebayo, allowing him to move back to his natural position at the 4, playing the power forward. It's just a very interesting take from Kendrick Perkins. Now, it's not the first time he's went out here and said anything outlandish, specifically against this Heat team. But if you wanted to make the argument that things aren't going to work out to the level that Miami's hoping for this season or in the following season, and because of that, Miami looks to trade him before this contract comes to a conclusion so he doesn't have to walk in free agency and they can turn a really good player into an ample amount of goods in the sense of draft picks or possibly even just other player assets, that would be a totally different conversation. But that's not what he said. He flat out said this Miami Heat team stinks, and that Bam should really look to get out of Miami and play for a competitive championship level team so his career really doesn't go to waste. He's been to the playoffs, every year of his career. He's been in the top 5 of Defensive Player of the Year voting. He's been in the rankings for MVP. He's made all-star teams. He's a great player. Last year, he had a bit of regression. If he comes out there and he plays the role we're all hoping for, and he's a part of a 40, 45-plus win Miami Heat team, not only are they going to make the playoffs again, but they could be a top 5, 6 seed at the worst in the Eastern Conference. They could find a good matchup and get through the first round, shockingly, and maybe make a run, as we've seen these Miami Heat teams do over the last few years. Despite being overlooked and really written off, they're able to put good wins together and good series together against formidable talent and teams, and they have great upsets. Bam Adebayo has been at the focal point of those moments for this Miami Heat team. Yes, I know he had Hero and Jimmy Butler and others as running mates in those situations, and Butler is no longer there, but still, Bam Adebayo has maintained and showcased the talent that you need from a all-star number 1 option on a championship contending team in Miami, and I think that is not going anywhere. Let me know down below, what are your overall thoughts and opinions on this quote from Kendrick Perkins, and do you think it's remotely accurate? Again, if you look at Bam's contract, he's the only player that has been given a legitimate extension in the last few years. Obviously, Jovic just got a small extension for 4 years. He is much younger than Bam Adebayo was when he got this extension, as Jovic is only going into his 4th NBA season. Bam has been here. He has done that. He's going into his age 28 season, and he still has 4 years remaining on his contract. Obviously, the last one is a player option for $57 million in that final year. If he opts in, he will become an unrestricted free agent in 2029, 2030. So again, if Miami wanted to trade him in 2028, 2029, and move him before they had to deal with that $57 million option the following year, that would be a more reasonable take. But to say he'll be gone by the end of this season is ludicrous, and really it's just quotes for clicks. That's all it is. And I understand he needs to do it because it's the offseason and there's not a lot going on surrounding the game of basketball, so you have to say outlandish shit. But again, that's my opinion. Let me know down below if you agree with me or do you agree with Kendrick Perkins. I will see you guys on the next episode of Heat Digest.